Hello and welcome to the Online Trainers Podcast, where we go behind the scenes to uncover the latest tactics and strategies top trainers around the world are using to get more clients, dominate their marketplace, and get their clients amazing results. There is absolutely no fluff here. I'm your host, Lynn Trim. Hello and welcome to episode number 35 on the Online Trainers Podcast. Today's topic is, should you be writing daily emails if you want to make sales? Now, I get asked this inside the group a few times, like, Lynn, why do you write daily emails? Should I be writing daily emails if I want to make more money, if I want to get more clients, and how do I do so? Now, for a long period of time, I tried daily emails, and I want to get back into my story because as a personal trainer, jumping into the online space, there's 1,000 things that you could be doing, right? You could be setting up blogs, you could be doing Instagram, you could be starting a YouTube channel, and you have to really think about this. There's only so many hours in the day which you can dedicate to each of these tasks. And so initially, your job is to find, when you've got 100,000 different things to do, your job is to find the highest performing task to do every single day. And as a personal trainer, especially if you're starting out, and for most personal trainers who have been in the game for a year or two, I still see this big issue, is that they don't have a product or service that is scalable. Okay, that's the big thing. They're bringing that one-to-one model, the offline model, trying to bring that online and not changing it around to adapt it, to leverage that, to niche down and create some sort of leverage product that if they have 1 or 2 or 100 clients sign up tomorrow, that they would be able to handle that. And that's generally the first question that I ask personal trainers. Anybody that jumps onto a call with me just for a quick chat, I say, hey, what's your problem? And they'll say, look, I don't have enough leads. And I'm like, well, if you got 100 clients tomorrow, would you be able to fulfill for them all? And generally the answer is no. So for any personal trainer, if you're starting out, if you're listening to this podcast show and you've listened to the past episodes as well, which I recommend you highly do, but if you've listened to that, you know that I talk about the first thing when you're starting an online personal training business, okay, is to create a product and service that a niche market wants. You don't want to go out there and be a generalist. You don't want to go out there and be setting up a fat loss program. You want to niche down as much as you can. And when you think you've niche down even more. Because truth be told, there's 1 billion people who have access to the internet, have access to Facebook, Instagram, your marketing, which then you can attract them in. And to be fair, you really only need 100 paying clients to be successful. Okay, so that's, if we break down the numbers, if you're going to do 6 figures in online coaching, you really need less than 100. Okay, if you're going to be, you need 100 people paying you $1,000 over the course of the year, and you're done. Okay, so the first step is, do you have something that's able to, like I talked about in the previous episode, the Flagship Program, where you take your knowledge, you niche down, you create a 12-week, a 16-week, an 8-week system, okay, that can basically take everything out of your brain and plug it into your client's brain, whoever's bought that. Okay, and if you can do that, that's what I call the Flagship Program. You're not only giving them the what, but you're giving them the why. Okay, create something like that first. That's the first thing when you're starting an online personal training business. The second thing is you need to market and sell it. Now, I know for a lot of personal trainers out there, and for me myself, I'm not particularly great at English. I hated writing in school. I don't even know how I graduated as a physio. My English marks were that bad. It must have made up for it in the Asian genetics with the maths, right? But in all seriousness, most personal trainers suck at writing. Most personal trainers are good verbal communicators. They're extroverts. They can detect and sense physical language and emotion from having that front-on connection. So the best way, and if you're going to invest your time, the best way is to practice getting on the phone and selling your product and service. And I don't say that because I love selling over the phone. I say that because at the start of your business, when you're going from, I've just created this product, to how am I going to sell it the quickest? It's the phone call. Okay. You can sell via webinars. You can sell via email. You can sell via writing sales copy. Okay. And you can probably sell via your blogs and a few other things, or there aren't many other ways to sell, but the phone call is going to help you break through that because you've got the person's attention, you've got their engagement, okay? Because inside an email, they actually have to open and read it and then feel engaged and then persuaded, and then they have to take the action, okay? So if you want to sell a high ticket product and service quicker, you jump to the phone call. But you'll get to a point where the phone call starts to become inefficient for you, because if you're making $100,000 and you work out that your hourly rate is X, Y, and Z, the phone call, it might not be worth your time to jump on the phone. And that's when you stop doing the phone call and you pay somebody 20%, 15%, 10% commission to come in and sell your flagship program for you. Okay. So where does email come into this? And this is really interesting. I think email is one of those things where it's a great tool, not only for selling, but it's a great tool to understand what your prospects want. You know, in email, you can ask them really what they want. You can gather data, which is so important, okay? It's another way to differentiate yourself and show your true personality, especially if you have a great personality, you have a great story. Emails are fantastic to get out there and build that connection. It's just another way to basically take a cold lead, someone who's never heard of you before, and hopefully over the 30 days of emailing them daily, they'll actually appreciate and they'll like your story and they'll bond with it, they'll resonate. And then by the end of the 30 days, they might go on and say, hey, Lynn, I want to call with you. Okay. But, you know, when we talk about emailing, should I be starting out? It's kind of like, well, for you to adapt that skill, for you to go from a personal trainer who does a lot of one-to-one consulting, I would work to your strengths and I'd take that one-to-one consulting, jump it straight to the phone. I really wouldn't go out there and start emailing yet. Okay. And I say yet because, like I said, every piece of content, every piece of everything that you can do is valuable, but it's valuable at different stages of your business. Okay. Phone calls are super valuable at the start to get you get that rocket up from the launch pad into the air, right? And then once you're in orbit, once you've got consistent revenue coming in, you can play around with content marketing. You can play around with emails. You can play around with creating free content on YouTube. Okay. But for most personal trainers, I see this because, and I feel bad because I was in it. I was doing 100 different things at the start. I had 24 hours in a day. I left the gym. I transitioned online and I had all this time to do all this random shit. and to be fair, you know, when you have so much time in the day to do all these things, you basically do everything and you get nowhere. Okay, so the question and the really main task that I want you to think about today is, where are you at inside your business? Where are you at? Are you at that startup phase? Have you created a product or service that you can leverage? Because it's an obvious question. If you got 100 clients to sign up tomorrow, are you capped? And for most people, they're like, yeah, I'm completely capped. And if you're happy with that kind of business model where you're capped and you're trading one-to-one, by all means, do not change it. If you are happy, do not change it. But if you're not happy, if you're struggling, okay, if you want more, then here's an alternative. Go and create a flagship program. Go and turn your knowledge, okay, whatever's in your brain, whatever people are paying you for at this very moment in time, go and turn it into a course, okay, to solve a specific problem. So, right? And if you don't know what that means, go and listen to the previous podcast episode. The second thing is, how can you get leads and how can you go and make sales? You need to figure out what are the highest performing tasks that you need to do in your current business model today. Is it email? Is learning and crafting daily emails, you know, putting an hour to write them, putting it and continually improving them? Okay, because here's the thing, if you write them really poorly, you're going to repel the people that were maybe your ideal clients. It's a double-edged sword with these things, right? And so just like this, if you open a Facebook group and you engage for the first week, but you never show up the week after week after week, people just know that you're untrustworthy. They don't trust you. They know that you just show up whenever you want to show up. And so that doesn't really show the best side of you. Okay. So, and the truth be told is that if you're consistent and you show up every single day, no matter what you do, if you show up with your phone calls, if you show up with daily emails, if you show up on Facebook groups, you will become successful. It's just finding where you're at and what you're likely to show up to every single day that's going to make the key difference. But for most people, jump in sales because you've done so much sales before in the past without even realizing it. If you're a personal trainer, you're in one-to-one gym, you've sat down in front of a person and you've taken their payment or you've taken cash from them, you've done sales, okay? But for most personal trainers, you haven't written emails. That's a new skill that you're going to have to adopt. It's probably going to take time. It's probably going to take you 6 to 12 months to get really good at it. In that 6 to 12 months, you're probably going to be broke by the time you learn the skill. And I'm not saying it's a bad skill. I'm saying, holy moly, if you have that skill, fantastic. It's another resource and it's a long-term thing that you should be thinking about at the back of your mind, but not at this very moment in time. Okay. Start learning it, start dabbling in it, start appreciating it for what it is. But if you haven't created 50,000, 100,000, 150,000 in your business, man, email is not going to do that for you. It's not the silver bullet that you think it is. Right? It's a great way when you're up in orbit and you can start to go, right, I want to play around with this email thing. I'm going to go test it out. I'm going to write a few emails. I'm going to engage with my audience. I'm just going to add value to their life. And eventually I want to see if I can sell some stuff off it. Okay. But if you go into that mindset and you haven't perfected that craft, and you write an email and it sounds salesy, you get an unsubscribe. Okay. And that's what I want. Email is effective when you storytell, you engage, and then you persuade. That's the crafting of a good email. And hey, I've been writing emails for years, and it's not one of those things that are top of my mind because I love strategy, but emails is one of those things where I know, okay, if I can get better at my email, and I do it every day as discipline to myself. And you have to find out the reasons why you do things. Okay, because I write emails every day to gather information, to build rapport, to build trust, to build expertise. But the main motivator, I do my emails every day, believe it or not, is to show myself that I can rock up every single day. Okay, not to make any sales, but to show myself. And is that valuable for me? Is that a return on investment for me? Absolutely. Because that belief that I can show up no matter what, even if it's my worst skill, English is my worst skill, but hey, I can go in and crush it. That's super valuable for me. So today, your task is have a look at your business. Have a look at where you're currently at. Do you have a product service that you can leverage? Okay. What's your product and service? Pitch this to your friend and say, hey, does this sound like something that people want to buy? Is this cool? Right? And then figure out a way where, okay, if you got someone on the phone, you need to role play. You need to say, you need to start doing some consultations. You need to be able to sell your product if you're going to survive. Okay, so this is when going in and sharing this podcast to another personal trainer, another coach, and sitting down and saying, well, what's your business model? What's my business model? Let's go and share this. Let's go and share ideas and practice on each other so we can get better and better and better. Is actually going to help you because you can listen to this. You can listen, you can sit there in the car, you can walk with this podcast and do nothing, right? And that's cool because that's what most people do. But I know you're better than that because you've been tuning in for the past 10, 15, 30, 34 episodes, right? Go and send this podcast to another trainer, another coach, another friend of yours who is in the same situation. Figure out your business model and go, right, does this sound good to you? Would you buy this? And start practicing today. Start using it and set it in stone that you're going to catch up once a week and we're just going to talk about your idea, talk about where you're at in your business and go back and forth. Because this isn't about me. It's about you. It's about you stepping up to help more people than you're currently helping right now. It's about you becoming that leader, right? Who was born inside of you if you feel as though you're the leader. If you're not, you don't have to be. Not everyone is a leader, right? If you feel like you're really happy where you are and you're quite supportive and you feel like you're the introverted type where you're just playing a supportive role, awesome. You will thrive as well. But here's the key. Consistency will lead you to success. If you're that leader, I urge you, or if you want more, go and send this podcast right now. Share it to another personal trainer, friend, coach. Keep you accountable and start today. And don't tell yourself that it wasn't the fact that, I should have started this a year ago. Well, I go back and I think about that. I should have started 5 years ago. I should have done this Facebook thing in 2006, right? Where clicks and leads were a cent. But it is what it is today. And if you build on what you have today, in a year's time, you'll look back and people will look at you and go, oh my God, I wish I started today like you, right? They'll look at you and they'll go, oh my God, I can't start. And that's what we build. But the hardest part is getting started. And the first thing I want you to do, especially if you're listening to this podcast, go and find someone who can keep you accountable. Okay, go and share this with them and say, hey, listen to this guy. He shares some valuable stuff sometimes, but other times he's just rambling on about his life. Okay, listen to him and let's implement what he says. Because truth be told, I'm only saying this because I see this. I see so many trainers get caught up. They have stories. And it's so good for me to see this. But if you can't see it, you're not going to change it. Okay, so I can see it, I can tell you to change, but hey, if you can't actually see that I haven't been showing up every single day, I haven't been consistent, he is right that if I start out emailing, I'm not sure if I can email every day. Do I have to email every day? If you start a Facebook group, how many Facebook groups have we started? We have all started and we've been there and we've started and we've closed it off or the engagement's dropped and we've just like, wow, it just died, right? So I urge you to start something today and master it and go in deep. Okay, so if you make this commitment, go right now, share the episode, get a friend on board, say, listen to this podcast episode, sit down. This is your one task. Map out where your business is at. Do you have a product and service that you can sell? Cool. If you do, awesome. Well, how can you get leads and start making sales? Well, you're going to have to talk to somebody, right? Initially first. If you're really terrified at talking to somebody, then what I want you to do is practice email like a ninja or practice video. If you're really scared, you're probably going to be crashing at that very first hurdle. Okay. So have a fantastic day. I'll see you in the next podcast episode. I'm pumped because I really, truly want you to succeed. So I'll see you in the next podcast episode and have a fantastic day. Alright, if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave me a 5-star review on iTunes and feel free to leave a review. In that way, I can respond and I can take that on board in developing content to serve you. Now, if you're not a part of the Online Trainers Club on Facebook, please do yourself a favor and be a part of the conversation. That's where I add daily tips, tricks, and strategies on how you can build out funnels, how you can get more clients, and ultimately become a better online coach. Thank you for listening.